somebody said that I needed a intro, and so this video is going to be about how I think corporations sometimes push the panic button, freak people out to raise their profits a little bit. Intro over. So, you may be one of the people that had to go through this snow apocalypse. I mean, there was an entire week where every weather channel pretty much said the entire middle of the United States was going to be completely covered with anywhere from 0 inches to 2 foot of snow with approximately an inch to 2 inches of ice. And this sent a lot of people into pure panic mode because that much accumulation of snow would put a lot of people in a lot of trouble. Now, while I know a lot of people in the north and out west in the northern areas or in mountainous regions are like, what is that? We get that every day. Well, a lot of people don't, especially in areas that only see maybe an inch to 2 inches a year. A foot of snow is going to do some damage, especially for people that live on the back roads that don't have four-wheel drive. So, in that sense, they need to absolutely be some sort of prepared to go out and buy a bunch of stuff to prepare for the winter storm. Not only that, but a lot of people went out and bought generators and all these extra supplies to keep things going, which actually ended up boosting the market. Well, I wouldn't say it boosted the market, but I will say that it boosted some profits. Now, what does any of that have to do with corporations and the weather? Well, besides the whole weather modification thing, which we're not going to get into, let's just look at it this way. The corporations that actually do profit from these things, or at least are heavily invested into every single company out there, let's take for instance BlackRock. While they don't exactly own a large percentage of every single company out there, I think 80% of them, they are so heavily invested into that company that they have some sort of way that they can manipulate that company to do what they want, such as telling them they have to put a certain person on their board. Now, that's some pretty big influence, while they also have plenty of buddies that do the same exact thing, where pretty much they move $10 trillion worth of the market every single day. Now, let's just say, for instance, they were expecting this big push during Christmas season where people were going to go out and buy all these things and spend all this money, and yet in the end, they kind of made some numbers look like a lot of people went out and bought some stuff, but in reality, people just didn't spend that much money this season. Now, this is kind of a blow to these big corporations that spend all this money on advertisement and all this stuff, so they need some sort of way to get the economy to peak back up and go out and spend some of that money that they don't have anyways. Now, here's where things get a little bit weird and interesting. These companies or these large corporations or stakeholders, stockholders, whatever you want to, market manipulators such as BlackRock and Infidelity and all the other ones, they also have very, very large stakes in the media. Now, all mass media, or at least 80 to 90% of mass media, is owned by around 5 companies. There may be another one that pops in here and there, but the majority of any media that you see is owned by 5 companies. And those 5 companies are also owned by these other companies that are literally trying to get as much money as they can out of us spending our money. Now, let's say, for instance, they need the economy to bump back up and they need people to spend some money. What's a good way to do that? Mass panic. And what's another great way to do that? Tell everybody that the Snowmageddon is about to go down, which, for all intents and purposes, the media is going to listen to what they have to say because, in a roundabout way, they are their bosses. Now, they don't necessarily have to push it that hard, but they did. And a lot of people freak plumb out. And the majority of people that seen all this and went out and spent all this money just didn't have anything close to what they were going to say. For instance, my area was expected to have 6 inches to 2 foot with an inch of ice, and we ended up receiving like 2 inches and a little bit of ice, which is bad, sure, but it's not nearly as detrimental as what they were putting it out there. However, every shelf out there was completely empty of milk, eggs, and bread for some reason. I don't know why. But funnily enough, people while at the store would also pick up little knickknacks that they need here or there, maybe some extra candles, some extra safety supplies that they probably will never use. So therefore, they are taking their hard-earned money that they really didn't have in the first place and pushed it right back into these people's pockets, all because they thought something was about to go down, and then in the end, it didn't. And what do they have to say about it? Well, our totals were just wrong. It's the weather. We can't predict it. But interestingly enough, they got their pockets filled with lots of money from this. So now I don't know how true any of this is. It's just something I sit around and think about, and I'm known as a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. I do think it's interesting to sit around and talk about these things because, let's be honest, they do this type of stuff more often than rarely. Anyways, if you enjoy thought provoking things, feel free to subscribe and follow and like or whatever. It's cool. You can if you want. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's okay. Okay, bye.